Okay, so everybody, welcome today. Today we are discussing Wim Hof. I first became aware of Wim Hof likely 10 years ago. Immediately fell in love, not just with the method and the benefits, but the man as well. Anybody that hasn't listened to any interviews with him speaking, I highly recommend you do because way to be an inspiration for everybody about what the human potential is, what we're capable of, and also just the joy of life because his not only all the world records that he has set, but just him as an inspiration for living his own life's purpose and overcoming. And for those of us that are suffering with MS or any other chronic illness, we also want the story of overcoming. And so he is an inspiration. So any of you that are not familiar with the technique, the idea is that we do sort of not a natural breathing pattern. So this is not the normal meditative state of like inhaling and exhaling a little longer than the inhale, where we're trying to lower anxiety and we're trying to calm the mind. In this case, we're actually doing quite the opposite. It's the thing that I always warn against in all of my meditation and yoga classes. And in this case, we're going to be on purpose inhaling very heavy, full, big breaths. And then we're going to be exhaling kind of rapidly as well. So the method would go that you breathe all the way full. You want to go from your stomach and then up actually into your higher chest. And then you almost let go kind of forcefully. And as you breathe in and out this way, you breathe in full breath, out breath. You repeat about 30 times. You'll see on YouTube now there's quite a few people that are doing different variations of Wim Hof, but the standard one that I learned long ago was 30 repetitions. And what this is doing is as you inhale, you're actually increasing your heart rate. And as you increase your heart rate, you increase your blood pressure. And this is turning on the sympathetic part of your nervous system. So this is the part of us that does fight or flight. This is the part that gets ready for to, evade somebody in traffic or to fight with somebody at the grocery store, whatever thing might be happening in our current world. I doubt most of us are getting chased by lions anymore. But when you breathe out, the opposite thing happens now. So on the exhale, your heart rate slows down, blood pressure lowers, and then we turn on the other arm of the autonomic nervous system, which is the parasympathetic. This is like the brakes. So this is where we come into rest, digest. This is where we repair our immune system, or we do any other kinds of functions that are kind of secondary to survival. But this is what a lot of us are missing in the world now is because we live in a chronic state of stress. At least back in the day, and I witnessed this with my poor little bunny interacting with my dog every day. The bunny is such a fight or flight type of animal that she runs for every little thing that happens. And I always think, she must be getting so stressed out. But the bunny knows instantly to return to safety after. So she's very calm after her little flight of activity. Whereas, then I'm looking at me, my partner, my children in the house, and we might be in a chronic state of stress all day. So we didn't have that actually what could be considered healthy, resilient stress like the bunny had, which then is a healthy way for your body to train itself to go back into balance. Instead, we just live at this level all day of just this chronic stress. And this is just a byproduct of living in the modern world, and it can be very detrimental. I think that anyone that has a chronic condition knows that stress plays an immense and impactful effect. Even if you don't believe it's what created your disease, I think most of us would agree that it definitely triggers and inflames the condition. I know for myself, relapses have always been centered around times of acute and chronic stress. Big events, things happened, and these things will happen. They're outside of your control in life. There's nothing that we can do to prevent bad things from befalling us in life, broken hearts, car accidents, people dying, things will happen to us. But we want to be able to be conditioned and resilient so that when they come, that they don't impact us quite as much. And this is what the Wim Hof method is trying to do. This episode, we're only going to really be covering just the hypoxic breathing because that's, my favorite probably thing I've ever added into my routine. But it's beyond just that. It is something called hormesis, which is when you on purpose stress yourself out and your body just to the point of where you receive a benefit, but you don't exhaust it. You don't go past the point where you're damaging your cells and your body now. So part of his method does involve cold plunges. I will talk about that another day, but not for today. And hormesis in general another day as well. So just to the breathing itself. So what happens then is as we're taking in so many breaths right in a row rapidly, and our heart rate again and blood pressure is going up, down, which is your heart rate variability. So that is what a lot of people are measuring now with a brain heart coherence and all of these different smart apps and different things people are wearing at night to see and monitor how they're doing. It is creating this. It's kind of creating now this instead of like in meditation where you're just going to have like a slow kind of up and down, very coherent, nice, easy pattern. When you do hypoxic breathing, you're going to really go out of the range. You're going to stress and then you're going to lower. You're going to stress, lower, and it's these huge jumps up and down, which is training your body. In the process of doing that, you're going to get super saturated full of oxygen, which most of the time we are already pretty saturated with oxygen. So I would say that that's playing less of a role because most of us, unless we have like COPD or emphysema, we are already almost as saturated as we're going to get just from regular breathing. But what this is really doing is it's expelling carbon dioxide at a very high rate. And so we're reducing the carbon dioxide in our brain. So a lot of us, we're not actually ever gasping for air. What we're doing is the sensors in our brain are very sensitive to the CO2. And so as soon as the CO2 is too much in the brain, then all of a sudden we have this need to like expel that to get it out. So with the Wim Hof method, after you're doing this 30 up and down hypoxic breathing, all of a sudden you're going to hold. So you exhale that last breath and then you just hold. And during that hold now, in the beginning, for most people, you're going to hold for maybe 1 minute, which even would amaze you because for most of us that have ever, as kids or whatever reason, tried to hold our breath underwater, realize, we had 30, 40 seconds. So all of a sudden, the first time you get to a minute, you're pretty amazed with yourself, realizing that you could actually probably go longer. And I would suggest that some people that already have good cardio, maybe runners, athletes, probably are going to do this quite a bit longer in the beginning. Those of us that have been impaired because of mobility and health issues, maybe this level's lower. Again, there isn't a need here to push yourself to the point where you're gasping for air. So if you can't make it to that full mark for whatever video you're watching, take a breath. Like, don't make it so unpleasant, but you are trying to hold it now. And then after you hold it, what happens during that time is human growth hormone starts to increase in your body because your body starts to feel like panic, right? It starts to feel like I'm not breathing. The CO2 sensors in your brain are being activated now. And whenever your body has any kind of like stress like this or a task to overcome, your body is smart and it does want to return to homeostasis. It does want to keep itself safe and protected. So it will now start to do all the things that it can do, like the human growth hormone increase, stem cell increase. It now is going to adjust the CO2 sensors in your brain. It is going to make you more resilient to all of these things, and it is going to make you a better version. So after you've done your breath hold, now you're going to take a deep breath in, again, feeling, I know we always say, like especially in yoga, to just breathe into the abdomen, but in this case, you're breathing abdomen and you're bringing it up from your abdomen into your chest, all the way up into your shoulders. And now at this point, after you've held your breath and you've taken a breath in, you're now going to be trying to kind of push that air all the way up into your head. And I'm thinking that there's quite a few reasons for doing this, but you will maybe feel that when you're doing this, you almost get a bit lightheaded. And even during the breath hold and the breathing in and out part, you might notice that you get like tingling in your lips, maybe in your extremities. You might get like pins and needles feeling, maybe even a little bit lightheaded. So this is something definitely you want to be doing lying down or at least sitting down somewhere safely. So now that you've held that breath in, which is going to be shorter time, so we're holding that in, pushing it up all the way up into our head, and that's about 15 seconds, and then you're going to release, and you repeat that for at least 3 rounds. And with each round, though, you're going to do the breath hold for longer. So you might be getting up to 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Now, like all things, I know that as humans, especially anybody, like I know myself I'm guilty of this. I ended up doing running until the point of half marathon and stressing my body, which now I've learned not to do that. I'm not going to do it anymore. I would say with the Wim Hof, I've tried very hard to not feel competitive with myself or to feel competitive to other people, where you start thinking that all of a sudden more is better, because you can get to a kind of J curve with this, right? We're all starting at a not such a good place. We're doing it, we're getting the hormesis effect, we're increasing our health, but we can, go back around that curve and start going back up, where all of a sudden it becomes detrimental to our health. Very much like exercise can do this too. There is sort of a point of health and benefit, and you don't want to really go past that. So we're going to try to stay within a point that's giving us benefit, but it's not pushing so hard that it's causing discomfort and pain in our body. Same when we talk about the plunges later. Okay, so the third part of Wim Hof, and the part that I really love and I think that is often neglected with this method, is the mindset. So mindset is really important, because if you're just stressing yourself out and you're allowing it to stress yourself, then I don't know what benefit you're getting from this. The whole point of this is you're going to try to maintain a certain sense of calm and peace with the body's alarm signals going off. And I think that this is what makes you feel strong and competent and capable, and to translate this into other scenarios in your life. Because if you were able to, in this moment, keep your calm and composure and use your mind to be in a meditative, calm state, perhaps the next time something happens and your fight or flight gets triggered, you're going to be able to use that same experience to move into calm, feeling like you can tackle and you can accomplish this, and you can easily move yourself back into the parasympathetic state. And that's where we all really want to live, because we can't stop the stress, but we can control how we respond to it. And that's the point of Wim Hof. So I hope that that's enough of an explanation of the process and the benefits and the reasons you might want to try it. And if you reached all the way to the end, what I wanted to just let you know now is I have created a new version of the Wim Hof method, which I'm giving homage to him, because this really was something I came across listening to him. There is a lot of connections to yoga in this, as well as when we get to the cold plunge, we'll talk about that as well too, because the idea that you can use your mind and different marma points in your body to control things like your temperature. There is yoga practices which do the same type of thing, where sages and yogis used to be able to just focus on one spot at your brainstem, and that could control the temperature in your body. So these things do have roots before Wim Hof, but he certainly is the father of making it popular in mainstream. And I just love his story, because of what happened with it. Not that what happened to his wife, because that is a tragedy, but that he used that to fuel and fire his passion to be able to be a good parent still, to be able to be productive in society, and to help everybody around him who might be suffering. And I have experienced tragic loss in my own life and debilitating disease that followed after. And I love this triumphant story of alchemizing negative emotions and negative experiences into something beautiful. And so I just wanted to pick up on his method, and I wanted to add a bit more of my own yoga philosophy into this, and take it back to a little bit more of a meditative and internal environment, as opposed to just the body and counting the breath. So I have created a meditation. You'll be able to find it on my website, energyovermatter.com. Thank you to all of you that made it to the end with me. As promised, I have an announcement. I have created my own new version of Wim Hof, including not only the basic mechanisms of the breathing, which is going to impact, as discussed, your hormesis, your parasympathetic and sympathetic fight or flight and rest and digest systems. But in this case, I've also paired a much more mindful approach, drawing on my yoga teachings in order to compound the benefits of this meditation and this pranayama. So I found this method to be much more powerful and transformative in my own healing journey. And at this point, I'd like to share with the community. Now, I'm going to put down in the show notes a way to access this. This is a paid meditation, and normally I don't do that, but in the case of sharing out so many of these things, which normally I would be teaching in a class, there has to be some way to monetize this just because of the time and the effort that goes into these things. So I hope everybody understands that, and anybody that is willing to make the small investment financially in order to have lifetime access to this meditation and pranayama, I believe you'll receive tremendous benefit from it. And for those of you that are not interested in that, you will find multiple versions of Wim Hof available just on YouTube or other sources. Either way, I do think that there's so much benefit to this that you really should be adding this into your care routine. With that, then everybody have a blessed day and a blessed life. Namaste.